This case is, without a doubt, one of the most chilling and gruesome I've ever covered. There isn't a ton of background information or many images to share this time, but trust me, what we do have is more than enough to leave you shocked. Though this is a shorter video, it's a story I felt compelled to tell because, honestly, it left me stunned. Before we dive in, a quick warning. This one is not for the faint of heart. As always, if you appreciate my work, please give this video a like, drop a comment below, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Your support really helps. Remember, this video is purely for educational and documentary purposes and in no way condones the crimes discussed. Christina Armal, 44, and her husband, Yenil Armal, 57, were the kind of couple you wouldn't give a second glance to. They seemed like just another middle-class pair, living a peaceful life in Camari, Brazil. Financially comfortable, they even had a cleaner, a little luxury not everyone can afford. But around late 2017, things took a dark turn. Christina had received a substantial compensation payout, around $225,000, for an accident, and that large sum of money caught the wrong kind of attention. It all started with an innocent conversation between the Armal's cleaner and her grandson. This tiny, insignificant exchange would unleash a nightmare. Two men, Daniel Santos NZ, 29, and Carlos Alberto Neres, 25, teamed up, plotting to rob the Armals of that money. And they didn't stop there. They roped in 3 teenage boys, and together, they began planning the attack. Imagine this. The gang spent days, maybe weeks, watching the couple, learning their routine, waiting for the right moment to strike. Can you imagine being watched so closely without having the slightest idea of the horror that was about to descend on you? That moment came on January 7th, 2018. Christina and Yenil were at home, probably thinking it was just another quiet evening when everything changed. 5 men broke in, turning their peaceful home into a scene of absolute terror. The couple was bound, beaten, and dragged into their own backyard, where no one could hear their cries for help, and that was just the beginning. While one of the gang members kept watch over the terrified couple, the others tore through their home like a pack of wolves. They wanted it all, not just the compensation money, but anything of value. But despite their search, the money remained hidden. Growing angrier by the minute, they demanded to know where the safe was. There wasn't one. Desperate for answers, they turned their fury on the couple. Here's where things take a turn for the unimaginable. Over the next 24 hours, Christina and Yenil were subjected to brutal, relentless torture. Can you picture it? Enduring beatings, being forced to watch each other suffer, and it didn't stop there. The gang, in a twisted attempt to break their will, sexually assaulted Christina while her husband was forced to watch, powerless to protect her. And still, they found no money. But the horror was far from over. In an act of almost unthinkable cruelty, they tore Christina's arm from her body while she was still alive. One of the attackers, in a grotesque display, even began eating parts of her arm in front of her and her helpless husband. It sounds like something straight out of a nightmare, but this was their reality. And then, in the ultimate act of depravity, they cut Christina open and removed her organs while she was still breathing. Yes, you heard that right. Some of the gang members even consumed her organs right there, in front of the horrified couple, as if this monstrous display could somehow force them to reveal the money's location. At this point, it was clear. There was no money. No one could endure such horrific torture and keep quiet if there was a way out. But the gang, blinded by greed and cruelty, refused to accept the truth. They hanged and decapitated Christina in front of Yenil. Her final moments, filled with such unimaginable fear and pain, are hard to even comprehend. After killing Christina, they turned their rage on Yenil. They stabbed him repeatedly in the stomach, demanding answers before cutting pieces of flesh from his back. This torture dragged on for hours, but eventually, the gang realized they were not getting the money they had come for. They hanged Yenil too, before burying both their bodies in a shallow grave in the couple's backyard. As if the horror hadn't reached its peak, they set the bodies on fire before covering the grave. But they didn't get away with it. On January 9th, neighbors became concerned after noticing something was off and reported the couple missing. A tip to the police led to the arrest of Daniel Santos NZ and Carlos Alberto Neres. The 3 teens were also arrested soon after. At the time of their capture, they had a shotgun, a pistol, and the couple's car. all clear evidence linking them to this unimaginable crime. Detective Santos, who led the investigation, said, "Everyone is shocked and appalled by the vicious and senseless killing of a couple who are known as decent, upstanding members of the community." During questioning, it was the teenage boys who broke first, revealing the sickening details of what happened that night. They were charged with multiple crimes, including robbery, torture, and murder. But here's where it gets even more unsettling. The teens only received 3 years in juvenile detention. There's not much public information on the sentences for Daniel and Carlos, but footage later surfaced from inside the prison showing them being violently abused by other inmates who were clearly disgusted by the nature of their crimes. Even after all of this, none of the gang members ever showed any remorse. It's hard to wrap your head around the cruelty of this case, isn't it? Even though it's a brief story to cover, the weight of it stays with you. Sometimes the darkest human actions don't need to be long to be unforgettable. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and take care of each other.